Welcome back to another video. Today, we are checking out this. This is the new Fujifilm X-E5. So this is a follow-up to the X-E4, of course, which is actually a few years old now. I really like that camera. I thought it was a lot of fun to shoot with. The X-E5, I've been shooting with out here in sunny Valencia. Fujifilm actually flew us out here, so feel free to take everything with a pinch of salt if you'd like. But I have been using this primarily the way it was designed, right? Which feels like very much an everyday travel camera. It's perfect for that kind of thing. Absolutely ideal because of the size and the weight. This is with the new 23mm f2.8 lens on the front. The whole thing is so small and light. It just makes it so easy to carry this around, even in a very hot environment. You don't have to have a whole bag with you. You could just have this around your neck, which is ideal. It feels a lot like having an X100 but it is interchangeable lens, so you can actually change that out if you want to, or you can shoot with something like this to give you roughly a 35mm equivalent if that's the way that you like to shoot, which is actually a lot of fun.
I always think that cameras like this, and that is to say, cameras that are sort of in that mid-range category, semi-professional cameras, if you like, are often some of the most interesting to look at. And while this is certainly no slouch in terms of spec, and it borrows quite a few things from a camera like the X100, it's really the quality of life touches and the design decisions that just make it such a joy to shoot with. Now, obviously, you've still got that lovely analog feel to the camera with the shutter speed dial, the exposure compensation dial, and actually, this certainly has a very X100 look to it as well. But it's also seeing significant bump to things like the resolution of the sensor, which is now 40 megapixels. And I think that's a lovely touch because not only does it give you some really beautiful detail to your shots, you also have a lot of room to crop if you want to as well, which can just be such a useful thing to have in your back pocket. You've also got the latest processor in there as well, so it feels nice and snappy, and you can shoot up to 8 frames a second if you want to as well. So while that's not as fast as the X100, it's still pretty good, and I think that's absolutely enough for what I think this camera needs to be. A big part of shooting with Fujifilm cameras is the ability to get it right in camera, whether that's with colors, maybe adding a stylized look to your photos, and actually shooting JPEG with Fujifilm cameras can be really rewarding because of things like the film simulation modes, which are such a staple of these cameras. And that feels even easier here because of this little dial on the top left that allows you to switch film simulations really quickly, really easily, and you can see which mode you're shooting in at a glance.
Right, you can see the film simulation that you are going to be shooting with on the top of the camera, and it has meant I've been switching between them a lot more than I normally do. So actually having a dedicated dial with it on the top, we've seen stuff like this recently from Fujifilm. It just makes for a really lovely way to shoot, and it really ties into the kind of quality of life stuff and the design choices behind this camera that I just think are very cool. I just think it just makes for a very, very nice shooting experience.
Now, on top of that, we've got in-body image stabilization in the camera now, and I have to say it makes a massive difference. It's quite impressive that Fujifilm have managed to include it in such a small body, but it really helps to give you so many more options in the way that you can shoot, including some nice and smooth handheld video footage. And in that department, the camera actually holds up really well. You can shoot all the way up to 6.2K, up to 30 frames a second. Of course, you've got 4K in there as well, full HD up to 120 frames a second if you want that super slow motion. So it's nothing that's going to kind of blow your mind, but it's pretty decent video capabilities, which I think works really well, again, for the kind of camera that this is trying to be, something that's ideal for travel, for everyday use. It makes it a really useful hybrid system. Now, in terms of design, I mentioned it is very, very lightweight. It's very small. It actually feels pretty good in the hands still as well, but it means it's very easy if you are traveling with this to just have it around your neck all day or in your hand when you're walking around. And I never found that to be a problem at all, even in the heat, the sun, and just hours and hours of walking around. It never felt like a burden to carry in any way.
We've also got an EVF on the camera, which is surprisingly quite decent considering the size of it, right? Even on super bright sunny days, that's been a really nice way to be able to shoot. No optical viewfinder, so that's where it differs quite a bit from the X100. I actually like the EVF on this more than I thought I would. Normally on a camera this size, with an EVF that size, it's not always worth your time so much to be using something like that. Actually, with this camera, I found that I've really liked shooting that way, which is interesting.
Outside of that, we've got the tilting screen, which I think is absolutely fine for a camera like this. I would probably have preferred a fully rotating flip out screen, but my guess is that might have meant the camera couldn't keep the same form factor. So I kind of get the decision making behind making it just a tilting screen like we've got here. But we've also got things like USB-C now, which is great for things like charging. It just makes it so much easier. And actually, talking of battery life, I found this to be extremely good, way better than I thought it was going to be. Fujifilm had the official shot count at something around 400 on one charge, but I found I was getting significantly more than that, and I was adding in shooting in 4K as well, doing video shoot. I was getting a long way on a single battery, enough that I absolutely wouldn't be concerned about that at all.
Otherwise, it's pretty minimal, right? You've got a few buttons on the back for the menu controls, for the different way you can control shutter and ISO and stuff like that. Of course, you can customize those dials as we would expect now from a Fujifilm camera like this, which again is great. It means you can set the camera up the way you want to use it. You've got one card slot, makes sense for the kind of camera that this is. I think that if you haven't got the X100VI, and if you've been looking at a camera like that, but you are put off by being tied into that singular lens, I actually think this is a really good alternative. I think being able to change out your lenses means there's a lot you can do with this camera, but it still feels like that compact city camera, travel camera, fun camera that I think is just, it's really lovely to shoot with. And it's the kind of camera that helps you kind of enjoy your photography rather than focus entirely on specs and the kind of really detail-orientated side of things. It can just really help you get some lovely photos, but just have a lot of fun with the stuff that you're doing as well. It comes in silver and black. I've got a silver one here. I really, really like the silver one, but the black one looks nice as well. You can check both of those out, as well as this new 23mm f2.8 lens over on parkcameras.com. I'll pop a link down in the description so you can go and check that out for yourself. Don't forget to like, subscribe as well, because there's new content all the time. I'll see you in the next video, but until then, as always, thanks for watching.